Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Good morning, Nigerians. This is another edition of the Inside Nigeria, and of course, you are welcome to the Thursday edition of our daily program where we dissect and discuss leading front page stories of some national dailies. And of course, as usual, we'll be starting with the Leadership, Nigeria's most influential newspaper. On the front page of Leadership this morning, DSS quizzes ex-Adamawa Governor Bindo, 5 orders over death wish for President Muhammadu Buhari. DSS, Department of State Services, quizzes ex-Adamawa Governor Bindo, 5 orders over death wish for President Muhammadu Buhari. Of course, there are different angles to the story. Tension high in Yola over arrest of the former governor. And the former governor is saying, I warned them against utterances at APC meetings. I warned them against utterances at APC meeting, according to former governor of Adamawa State, Jibrila Bindo. Well, let's move to the next newspaper, the sister publication of the Leadership newspaper, which is the National Economy. And of course, on the front page of the National Economy this morning, viable platforms guaranteed ROI, return on investment. We boost diaspora remittances for investments. Viable platforms guaranteed return on investment. We boost diaspora remittances for investments. And of course, there are also angles, different angles to this story. Creation of Nigeria's Diaspora Investment Development Division can raise inflow beyond 30%, according to experts. And nationwide mass housing, small-scale industry projects good avenues for investments. Nationwide mass housing, small-scale investment industries projects good avenues for investment, and that is on the front page of the National Economy this morning. Let's move to the next newspaper on our menu for today, which is the Daily Trust. And of course, on the front page of the Daily Trust is VAT ruling, federal government to lose taxes amid dwindling revenue. VAT ruling, federal government to lose taxes amid dwindling revenue. And of course, VAT ruling is the ruling of a River State High Court on value-added tax. And of course, Daily Trust is looking at the implication of that judgment, saying federal government to lose taxes amid dwindling revenue already as a result of the ruling of the High Court. And of course, there are also different angles to this story. States with low revenue profile will suffer, according to experts. States with low revenue profile will suffer, according to experts. And of course, states who are not doing well in the area of internally generated revenue will suffer, because VAT is like a free money for them. And now with the ruling of the River State High Court, well, it may not be business as usual. Federal Inland Revenue Service to appeal judgment as Justice Ministry studies case. Federal Inland Revenue Service to appeal as Justice Ministry studies case. We only interpreted Constitution according to the River State government. The River State government was the one which approached the River State High Court for a proper interpretation of the law concerning the value-added tax. And it is saying, well, we only sought interpretation of the Constitution. Well, let's move away from Daily Trust this morning to, of course, the Nation newspaper. And on the front page of the Nation newspaper is an interesting story for Nigerian motorists. Toll payment returns on 5,050-kilometer federal highways. Toll payment returns on 5,050-kilometer federal highways. And of course, just yesterday, the federal government announced the planned return of tolling on dual carriageways across Nigeria. Well, the tolling will only happen on 5,050 kilometers out of the over 30-kilometer stretch of federal highways across the country. Well, there are different angles to this story. The Federal Executive Council has approved the proposal by the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, and implementation starts after completion of project because there are conditions before tolling. And of course, the federal government is saying these conditions will be met before the tolling policy will be started. I will go on a short break now. When we come back, we shall be looking at the issue of the fate of surrendered terrorists in Nigeria. Just a few days ago, we saw pictures of terrorists who just surrendered to Nigerian troops holding placards calling for amnesty or forgiveness. And of course, tongues are being raging among Nigerians as to whether the terrorists should be forgiven or not. We will hear from the horse's mouth when we return on this short break. We will be right back now. Welcome back from the break. And of course, like I said earlier, this morning on this show, we shall be discussing the fate of surrendered terrorists who surrendered to our gallant troops a few days ago. But then what is surprising is that in rather unusual spectacle, we saw them holding placard, begging Nigerians for forgiveness. And of course, that picture has been trending in the last couple of days. We don't know whether they will be forgiven or the authorities concerned will put them on trial for the atrocities they've committed against humanity. Joining me now is Brigadier General Onyema Nwachukwu, the Director, Army Public Relations. Brigadier General Nwachukwu, are you with me? Of course, he is to provide insight for us this morning on this show on the fate of some surrendered terrorists who surrendered a few days ago to gallant Nigerian troops at the war front. There have been arguments as to whether they should be forgiven or they should be put on trial for their atrocity against Nigerian state. Okay, I am now live with Brigadier General Onyema Nwachukwu. Brigadier General Onyema Nwachukwu is the Director of Army Public Relations. You will be speaking to us live while on a national assignment in Kachia in Kaduna State. Brigadier Nwachukwu, can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me? Okay, it's like we are having issue with the audio in the connection of Brigadier General Nwachukwu. All right, we shall be going on a short break to fix the connection. When we come back, Brigadier General Onyema Nwachukwu will be talking to us on the fate of some surrendered terrorists to the gallant Nigerian troops. We'll be back shortly. Well, joining me is my guest for the day, Senator Iroegbu. Senator Iroegbu is an Abuja-based public affairs analyst and a practicing journalist. Senator, welcome to Leadership Podcast Studio.
Thank you, buddy.
You're coming here for the first time.
Yes.
It's our pleasure to have you. Well, while waiting for our guest for today, Senator Iroegbu, we're trying to establish connection with the Director of Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Onyema Nwachukwu. When General returns, we shall be talking about the fate of some surrendered terrorists to the gallant Nigerian troops. But while we fix the connection, let's quickly talk with our guests in the studio on some of the leading front page story on today's newspapers. Senator, before you came in, we've displayed some front pages to our viewers outside. But starting with leadership, let me show you what leadership is having on this front page. This morning, the Department of State Security Services quizzes ex-Adamawa Governor Jubrila Bindo and 5 others over death wish for President Muhammadu Buhari. I know this story is not new to you. There was a meeting in Yola, APC meeting, and some person were said to have been caught on tape wishing President Muhammadu Buhari death.
In as much as it's a bad test, like especially for Africans, it's not a good thing to wish another person death.
Exactly.
I know in Western democracies, that is their personal opinion. It's not.
It's not a crime.
It's not a crime.
Just a wishful thinking.
It's a wishful thinking. People, I remember in a certain time, people carried the coffin of even
Former President Jonathan, yes.
Jonathan, even Trump, even when then McCain, Senator McCain his coffin. So these things come into politics. Then secondly, I think this is what is said privately. People say a lot of things in their home, and if they should wiretap everybody in their private, there'll be commotion all over the world. Even when some of the leaks of some of the intelligence things that US does were leaked, and they find out they were even wiretapping their own friends, their own allies. So this is human nature. People can say things in your then go say another thing behind their back, and that's why it's private discussion. As bad as it is, I'm not supporting it.
Of course.
I don't support wishing another person dead, no matter how bad. You can disagree with people strongly. Like when it comes to, I will strongly disagree with, but I don't take it beyond that. I don't wish anyone dead
because you don't have control over.
You don't have control.
Death and life.
Yes, but anyway, like DSS, since one of their job is also for the protection of the president. So when it comes to someone threatening his life, I don't think they are going overboard to try and find out what do you mean. Are you planning to kill him or so? I think maybe it's a routine question, but I don't think anything should be beyond that. I don't think they should be harassed. It's their personal opinion, like I said, and within democracy, it's allowed. People can say anything they like, so as long as the action it doesn't translate to action.
Yeah,
that's where the issue. That's where this thing. Someone can say, "I will kill you." The person have not committed a crime, but if tomorrow the person you say you will kill eventually dies, even if it's not you,
you have questions
to answer. So that's what it is. Then, secondly, like I've emphasized before, this was an information that was shared beyond, I think, privately, but they were caught maybe by that's it.
All right, if we move away from that story, look below the masthead of the leadership this morning. One interesting story is there. Federal government reintroduces 200 naira, 500 naira toll per trip on highways. Tolling is back.
Tolling is back, and I know a lot of Nigerians resisted it before. It was a norm before, that was during the military era, and so later it was removed. I know there was an attempt to bring it back, but it was resisted. I don't think, I don't know, is it because federal government is cash strapped? But one thing it is that Nigerians are not shy of paying for services as long as that there's quality service. You can't be paying toll for a road that is so bad that broken some people's waist and spine, a lot of potholes, and they are imposing toll on the highway again. I don't know. Or will they guarantee that once they start imposing this toll fee, that our road will be so much motorable and of high standard? So I don't think they will come. I mean, it will be a double jeopardy. When one, people are battling with bad road, people are battling with insecurity on the road. Two, road travel these days is a risk venture.
Exactly.
So now you are imposing fine on them, because I know when they impose it on the motorist, they will kind of cascade it down to the passengers. So they should also think it through.
It's just like adding jacking off fuel pump price.
Yeah, fuel pump price. So if they reintroduce it and it translates to better road, better security, I know people will not have much complaint. But if it's in spite or in addition to what people are going through in road travel, still imposing fare. People want to know on what basis is it going to translate to anything, or should you hold this thing on until you put things in order before you can impose it?
Well, Senator, there are conditions for tolling a road according to international best practices. Of course, you can't toll all roads. You
No,
just
not
select. And in this case, the federal government is saying just 14% of the 35,000 kilometers of our dual carriage highway will be tolled, which is just 5,050 kilometers of them. So motorists will have a choice whether to apply the tolled one or the untolled one.
That's what I'm saying. If the tolled one, if it's a strategic route, it can be a 14% of the road. They carried almost 50 or 60% of the traffic.
Yeah, you are right.
So it can be strategic road that you can't avoid. Then, second, like I've noted, all the condition has to be there for it to be seem normal to citizens. Like that, Lekki to like that.
Yes, the Lekki. Yes.
It's I think it was made in such a way. Yes. So, but this one, is it going to be in that manner? Will it guarantee smooth travel? No potholes, no bad road, everything, then security. If not, on what basis are you imposing this fee?
All right. Let's look at other stories on the front page of the leadership below the lead's story on the front page of the leadership. And of course, you see cholera has been an issue in the past a few weeks. And just now we're seeing 146 die of cholera in Kebbi State. You can imagine 1,000 now across the country. Then this is the time we're battling with COVID-19, and not just COVID-19, the variant, the Delta variant of COVID-19, the third wave. So, what is your take?
My take is that yes, media has done a lot to kind of
sensitize.
Yes, but is government taking it also serious in that way? I know a lot of attention and resources is focused on COVID-19, even though we still have a battle of convincing people. First, the battle of getting enough vaccine. Secondly, the second one of convincing people, because there's a vaccine party in the country, to say, go and vaccinate yourself. I know I've done that, so I'm encouraging people to do so. But
I've also done that.
But I know this becomes a secondary matter to the authorities. But if you check the date, within few days, I think it is swallow whatever you're talking about COVID-19.
Yes.
So it's a serious issue. I know that unlike COVID-19, that is like a pandemic that is spread, that this is localized, found within a section of the country. And maybe most of the victims may be the downtrodden. The big men up there, unlike COVID-19, will not be scared or may not be affected, because that's one of the challenges we normally get. When something doesn't affect them, they may not pay. But I trust the NCDC; they're always proactive. So I'm encouraging them to do the right thing. Then the sensitization should also include preventive mechanism. Apart from the tackling it now, what people should do also to avoid reoccurrence or the escalation of the situation. But it calls for urgent attention, because that 146 within few. When did this was it not last week?
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. So the death is on the high. So I know once in a while we do have cholera.
Yes, it's happening every year.
Every year. So that it should be tackled with urgency. I know that it's attention. COVID-19 have taken all the attention, but this needs urgent attention.
So that it doesn't compound our problems.
Yes.
Okay, another interesting story I would like us to actually discuss is the issue of the Twitter ban. And of course, on the front page of leadership this morning is the cheering news that federal government will lift Twitter suspension soon, according to Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Mohammed. Now, before we got to this stage, there was, I think, a roundtable discussion between the Nigerian government and Twitter. And I think they say Twitter is now meeting up with some of the demands of the Nigerian government.
It's good that, because a lot of Nigerians have been expecting, since the federal government set up the team to meet with
what will be the outcome?
What would be the outcome? They have been silent about that for some time. Thank God, fortunately, we've heard that there's progress, even though we don't have the full details of what, apart from what the Minister Mohammed have told us. And I have been one of the fiercest critics of this Twitter ban. and I think they should leave the suspension soonest, because it's affecting a lot of, apart from being an infringement on putting us on the map of autocratic nations that are restricting, which by the nature of our democracy we shouldn't find ourselves there, except we want to practice another system of government. Then we should tell Nigerians, then if we agree that's what we want to. But for now, we are practicing liberal democracy, so, and freedom of expression. Whatever that seems to threaten it send a wrong signal, and that's why some of us are against it. Secondly, it have affected a lot of small scale businesses. Some of us who are operating online medium and some other, they say we depend on Twitter to spread our message and get more readers, and so many are linked to it. And we've had reports of Nigeria losing so much billions because of the Twitter ban. We also had a report of Twitter earning billions despite Twitter ban. So you check who loses. Is it Twitter or Nigerians? Let's not say Nigeria now.
Are you not worried about the allegations against Twitter, that Twitter was inciting hatred and violence among Nigerians?
You can't say Twitter is inciting. Okay, you can say Twitter allowed its site to be used.
Is that acceptable?
It's not acceptable, but you can interrogate such allegation. Where is incitement coming from? From who? Government officials have made their own statement that seem insightful against their own citizens.
Exactly.
So most time when they say incite, is it that it's only when it seems it's coming from the citizen? Have government officials, even politicians, check their own utterances too? So what led to this immediate ban? Because President made out trying that people find inciting
a whole race,
and they are not even talking about it. And Twitter, even Nigeria themselves who complain, this statement is insightful. This statement can lead to, because you're president of the whole country. Whatever you say carries so much weight, and because of that, they banned Twitter. Whatever other excuses they are trying to bring was an afterthought, because the immediate reason that led to the ban was a sword test in the law of Nigeria. You can't judge because of one individual, you ban Twitter. And because yes, you are the president of Nigeria, but you owe your allegiance to Nigerians. We elected you there. You can't, because of your own interest, and you deny Nigerians their own freedom or means of business. No. So it's good that they are discussing. Yes, I don't agree completely with everything Twitter is doing. They're not 100%. And federal government also has some points, which is why they are discussing. So I hope that whatever that is agreed is for the overall interest of Nigerians, not for individuals in government who turn on with your end and go. Nigeria remain. Nigerians are Nigerians. Exactly. So that's
many thanks to you, Senator Iroegbu. Senator Iroegbu is an Abuja-based public affairs analyst and a practicing journalist. And of course, listener out there, make it with us tomorrow for the last edition of the week of Inside Nigeria. My name is Brigadier. Bye-bye for now.